So what do you do when you have a taste for dal, you want some comfort of dal, but don't have much time? Today I'm going to show you one of the quickest and easiest dal to make, and it is my red lentil or Masoor dal. It takes less than half hour to make this start to finish and requires very few ingredients. It's really simple dal to make. You can also eat this dal as a soup, so you don't even need anything with it, but it also tastes great with rice or roti. So for this dal, I'm going to use 1.5 cup of red lentils or masoor dal. And then whenever I make this dal or any other dal, I always like to add like a couple spoons of the moong dal. This is optional, but it's nice to have this because it makes any of the base dal more creamier. So today I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the yellow moong dal, and then I have 2 small onions, 3 medium tomatoes, about 4 to 5 garlic cloves. This is one of those dals that you can eat when you're not feeling well. So it's like a chicken noodle soup, but vegetarian. And so it has a lot of garlic and ginger. Again, if you don't like that much garlic or ginger, you can put, as much or as little as you want. But for this one, my son likes this dal with a lot of garlic and ginger, so I put in a lot. This is his go-to dal. Like whenever I hear that first sniffle or anything, this is the dal I make right away because it's a really comforting, great dal. So that's all we need. And then very few spices. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you how to make this. So the first step we're gonna do is wash the dal. So in this pot, I have again 1.5 cup of the red lentils or masoor dal and then 2 tablespoons of the moong dal. I'm going to go ahead and wash it and then put about double the water for the beginning and then keep adding water as needed. So for this dal, I'm going to add about 3.5 cups of water. So let's go ahead and wash it. And again, wash the dal before. No matter which dal you're making, always it's a good idea to wash it and drain it. So I'm going to go ahead and wash this and drain the dal. So here it is, my washed and drained dal. And then I've added about 3.5 cups of water. So the ratio is whatever amount of dal you take, double the water plus just a little bit more. So all I'm going to do is cook this at about medium low until it's nice and soft, and then add our tomatoes and onions. So in the beginning, all I'm going to add to this are my garlic cloves. And I don't have to do anything, cut them or anything, because we're gonna blend it when we blend the tomatoes and onions. So I have my ginger and my garlic cloves, and then I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of turmeric for now. So here's my turmeric, and then I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt. And that's it. And we're gonna cook this at medium low until it's nice and soft. And again, please make sure that your pot is big enough because I don't want the dal to overflow and go all over the counter. So we're just gonna let it cook. You don't have to cook it in pressure cooker or Instapot or anything like that. It just cooks very quickly in the pan itself. Now, if you're going to eat rice with this, I would start the rice now so the dal and rice would finish at the same time and you can eat your meal. But if you're eating this as a soup, then no worries. Now, while the dal is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and roughly chop the tomatoes and onions. We're gonna blend them both so you don't have to finely chop either one of them. So I'm just gonna make some big pieces so that it can easily blend in the blender. Also, I think I have shown you this in my other videos, but whenever you use tomatoes in any dish where you're going to puree the tomatoes, you need to take the seeds out so it becomes a nice and smooth puree. So I'm just going to take these little seeds out before I chop them. So I just have like little wedges of tomato, and I don't need to cut into small pieces. Just this is enough because it will all get nice and blended. So I'm going to do the rest of the tomatoes and the onions, and then I'll show you what to do next. And our tomatoes and onions are ready and prepped. I'm not going to blend it yet. I'm going to wait until the dal is almost done because I wanted to take out those garlic cloves that will be cooking in the dal. They'll be nice and soft, and we can go ahead and blend the garlic with the tomatoes and onions. So we're going to wait on that for a little bit to blend this. So right now it's just prepped. Dal is cooking, and you're free to do whatever you want because the dal is going to cook on its own for about 15 more minutes. Okay, I'm checking on the dal. It's been about 10 minutes. And you'll see this coming up on top. It's okay. You can just kind of skim it off, like just with your spoon. Just make sure you don't take any dal, and just kind of take this out. It's okay if it's there, it'll go away. But looking at this, I want to add a little bit more water now. I didn't want to add the water at the beginning because I don't want the dal to be too watered down. So I usually reserve a little bit water to add in the middle. So remember, we have put 3.5 cups of water for 1.5 cup of dal plus the 2 tablespoons of the moong dal. So I'm going to add another additional 1 cup of water. And also remember, we're going to have some more liquid coming up when we add our pureed tomato and our onion. So right now the dal is just nice and slow cooking. And the only spices there are in there right now are just some salt and turmeric. There's nothing else in there. Okay, it's been 20 minutes and the dal is cooked perfectly, and you can see that the water is not separated. It looks creamy, so that's how you know the dal is done, that you know when it like has this little creamy thing when you look at the liquid. And we don't want to add any more liquid to this right now because we're going to add, when we add the tomato and onion puree, it's going to add more liquid to it. So we're going to not add any more liquid to it. So now what I'm going to do, and this is again optional, you don't have to do it, but I like to take these garlic cloves and then blend it with the tomato and onion. If you don't want to do that, you can also kind of just press it to the side and mixing it with the dal. But I like blending it because that way you don't have big pieces of garlic when you eat this dal. So I'm going to turn it off because it's cooked perfectly right now, or I can even leave it at low, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to turn it off, take the garlic cloves out, and then blend it with the tomatoes and onions. So when you're looking for the garlic, sometimes you have to go hunting and they hide, so you have to find it. Now I'm not going to take all the ginger out because if I blended all the ginger, it would give a very strong gingery taste. So I'm going to leave those slices of ginger in there, except for 1 or 2. So I'm going to take, if I can find it, 1 or 2 thin slices of ginger and blend it with the tomatoes and onions. Oh, here's one. You see it? Okay, use this one. It's not a big piece, so you don't want too strong of a ginger flavor. You don't want ginger overpowering the dal. And I think I managed to get all my garlic cloves out. And if there's some in there, that's okay. They'll just blend in when the dal is finally cooked. So the garlic becomes very soft, so you can even just smash it with the back of your spoon. All right, so here is my tomatoes, onion, and then the garlic cloves. I'm going to add just a little bit of water, blend it, and then add it to the dal, and it's done. We cook it for 5 additional minutes, and the dal is done. And here's our tomato, onion mixture, and you want it like that. So you're still able to kind of see a little bit small pieces of onion and tomato. That's okay. You don't need to blend anymore because it'll all get nicely cooked. So all I'm gonna do is now add this into our dal. And at this point, I'm going to add, for spices, an additional teaspoon of salt, then 1 teaspoon of red cayenne pepper, and then 2 teaspoons of cumin coriander powder. And again, whenever we add turmeric, it's always good to add black pepper. So I'm gonna go ahead and add about 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, we're gonna stir everything together and cook it for an additional 5 minutes. Now at this point, the dal is done. It's if you're eating this dal as a soup, it's perfectly done. If you wanted to eat it as a dal with rice or roti, you can take it one step further and do a tadka, which tadka just basically means you heat a couple tablespoons of oil, add some cumin or mustard seeds, and then pour it over whatever you're making. So for this dal, we usually do a jeera tadka. That means it's a cumin-based tadka where I would heat up a 1 tablespoon of oil, put some cumin seeds, and then pour over the dal. And then I might, if I want it more spicy, throw in a green chili pepper or 2. But otherwise, right now, as this dal right here, this is perfect. So if you're not feeling well, this is such a great dal because it has all that garlic, all that ginger, nice turmeric, black pepper, tomatoes, onions. It's so flavorful as is. This is also a great starter dal for children because it's so mild and it's easy to digest. It's a really good dal. So let's go ahead and cook this for another 5 minutes, and then our dal is done. Right, so our dal is done. It is perfectly cooked. It's creamy. It's delicious. Garlicky. It has it's like ginger flavor, tomatoes, onions, and you can have this just like you would eat a bowl of soup. Now, if you want to take it a step further and do like a little tadka and add a little bit more spices, you can, and I'll show you how to do that. So this doesn't have that many spices. It's just salt, a little bit of red cayenne pepper, turmeric, and a little bit of black pepper. But what I'm gonna do is do a little bit of tadka, which is the tempering, and then I'll show you how to do that. So to make our tadka or temper the dal, all I have is 1 teaspoon of ghee heating in a pan, and then I'm going to add a little bit of cumin seeds when the ghee is nice and hot. If you don't have ghee, you can just use a 1 teaspoon of oil. So we're gonna wait for the ghee to melt and get hot, and then I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of cumin and a little bit of green chilies to make it nice and spicy. Okay, my ghee is nice and hot, and I'm gonna add my cumin seeds and then the green chili peppers. I'm gonna give about 30 seconds for the cumin seeds to crackle, and then I'll add 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. So just a little bit of garam masala, and then pour it over our bowl of dal. That's the best sound you can hear, the sizzling of spices. Now, different dals need different kind of tadka or tempering. This is a very simple dal, so I'm doing a very simple tadka. Sometimes you can add ginger slices, garlic slices, a little bit of onion. It depends on what kind of dal you're making and what flavors you like. But for this, it's just very simple. It's just cumin seeds, the green chilies, again, just to add some heat. And then I have about 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. I'm gonna give that about 10 seconds and then pour this whole thing over my bowl of dal. Here I have my bowl of dal, and I'm gonna go ahead and just pour this over. And it is our delicious, creamy, easy, made under 30 minutes red lentil dal. Don't forget to share and subscribe to this channel. And I really hope you enjoy making and eating this dal.